Welcome po sa programa ng Power Tonight with Elvira. Andito pa rin po ang grupo namin sa Seoul, Korea, kung saan po itutuloy namin ang aming magandang interview sa several personality here. At ngayon kasama po natin walang iba kundi si Bishop Peter Kang. Siya po ang Bishop ng Diocese of Jeju, Korea. At the same time, siya din po ang dating presidente ng Catholic Bishop Conference of Korea. Ano kaya ang aming pag-uusapan? Siya po ang subaybayan ninyo sa pagbabalik ng Power Tonight with Elvira.
May biyayang darating sa atin. Hinirang ang ating bayan. Pinili ang bansang Pilipinas upang dito idaos ang 51st International Eucharistic Congress.
Dadayuhin ng mga Katoliko sa buong mundo.
Saksihan natin ang real presence ni Jesus.
Pinakamalaking pagsasama ng mga mananampalataya. May handog natin ang pinakamalaking selebrasyon ng banal na Eucharistia.
Ipakita po natin sa buong mundo ang lubos na pananampalataya ng mga Pilipino. Magkita-kita po tayo sa Cebu. Christ in you, our hope of glory.
Welcome to the program, Power Tonight with Elvira, Bishop Peter. So I'm very happy that you took time to accept our invitation to be interviewed. So this is the first time that a bishop from Korea will be interviewed, and we would like to know, because our program is really interested with the Korean history, especially with regards to the church. And being the former president of the Catholic Bishop Conference of Korea, I know you have to understand the whole diocese here in Korea. And you're very blessed also because last year, the Pope just visited here. But before we go on to discuss about the Korean culture, about the Korean faith, I would like to know what made you decide to become a priest?
That's a very good question. It's, well, I had a dream of having a very ordinary life, having a good family, good wife and children, like everybody else. But just before I entered my university, a certain feeling strongly captured me, and so I questioned myself that why do I have to lead a very ordinary life? Why shouldn't I have a special life which is really willed by God and invited by His will? So all of a sudden, just before 1 month of my entrance exam to the university, I changed my mind and decided to be a priest.
So what do you plan to take in the university?
At that point, before changing my mind, I was going to study civil engineering.
Okay. So that's quite far apart.
Yes.
But Bishop Peter, because you said you come from a very good family, so who really influenced you with your faith? Your parents, grandparents?
Well, yes, it's certainly, I suppose there must have been a certain strong influence from my family tradition. I'm the 5th generation of Christianity in my family, and but before I changed my mind, I actually did not have a slight idea of becoming a priest. So it's strange. It really was a God's invitation, which came so suddenly by His providence.
So there must be something that makes you decide, this is for me, this is what I want. There must some incident or circumstances that you can feel you are being called.
At that time, my father had a very difficult time financially, and my family had a very tough story at that period, and so to a certain point, we were pushed into a very hazardous situation, and naturally, I might have been thinking that what would be the real meaningful life. So at that time, I was reading the Gospel, mainly the New Testament, and so the question from the beneath of my heart repeated, what is your purpose of living in this world?
So when you suddenly change your mind, does your parents react very well with that? Considering you said the family is having a problem, and then here you want to become a priest when it cannot even bring money to them.
That's right. My parents, well, my father was he was very greatly amazed, and of course, my mother, she had all kinds of hope for the eldest son.
Yes.
So having heard my decision, my mind, she just stopped everything. She slept. She went to bed for almost 1 week. She didn't eat. She couldn't sleep.
She felt that deeply. So how do you feel? Do you feel guilty or what, that you make a wrong decision? Or
at that point, I was very sorry for them that I run away from the family life. But I had a certain kind of faith in God. I thought that if He calls me for His job, He would take care of my family.
Okay.
So I without hesitation, I could leave my home peacefully.
Did you not choose any congregation? So where did you study?
Well, it's a long story, but at that point, the business of my father failed completely in Korea, and he decided to migrate to Japan.
Okay.
And he worked there for several years. Even before the Second World War, he studied in Japan, and so he had lots of acquaintance in Japan. And so he wanted to restart again in Japan, and so he led all his family to Japan, Tokyo. And at that point, I decided to go to the seminary, and so it was, all happened so
fast.
I was for the first year I studied philosophy, attending the university, the Sophia University,
in Japan.
In Japan, and but during this first year, I lived in my house. In my parents' house, and but after this year, the seminary of Japan, the rector of the seminary asked me to come into the seminary life to join the other seminarians' life. So I had to leave my parents' house completely.
And this seminary is run by the Jesuit?
Well, it was run by the Jesuits. Yes, it belonged to the theological department of Sophia University, run by the Jesuits. So all those formators and professors were Jesuit fathers.